All right, well, let's get started. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And obviously, the world's pretty crazy. And we found out, well, we decided, and in fact, later on, it got enforced on us that we're going to cancel this meeting. And just for a heads up, it looks like the next 2 months after this, the uh, April and May meetings are also going to be, well, not at the venue we had originally scheduled, and suspect we'll be just going with virtual meetings. So this might be a platform of choice for the near future. Anyway, I hope you can see all of that.
Yep. The picture looks good when it's a static picture.
Yeah, no worries. All right, well, look, what I'm going to take you through is just the quick program rough thumbnail for tonight. So we're going to get started with just what's happening around our group, our organisation, what we've planned, what we had planned, what we've had to cancel, and that sort of stuff. Then we're going to have a bit of a presentation on space news, a bit of a roundup of things. And then part two of that will be with Angelo. He's got a stack of interesting stuff, including a lot of nice videos, etc. And in between, we can have a bit, maybe stop and have a bit of a roundtable chat if people feel like they'd like to do that. And also, obviously, there's the chat window in the side there. We can go ahead and ask those questions. Although I'm on full screen when you run a PowerPoint, I can't see that chat window. But anyway, we'll keep going. Obviously, coming up was the Apollo 13 50th anniversary. So the actual mission took place back in April of 1970. So as people probably were aware, we had a plan to have a 50th anniversary screening of the movie and some finger food and a talk by a guy that used to be worked at Tidmouth Billa. That's all been cancelled. Whether we can reschedule it for some point in the future or just do something else, we can have a chat about that. However, I think I've worked out what the problem is, and I believe it's Tom Hanks. Everything he's involved with is a disaster, including getting coronavirus in Australia. So this is the key factor. I think if someone, well, I'm not going to say it, but if someone takes care of Tom Hanks, we might all be better off. Okay, I hope this, maybe we might have to edit that out of the recording. So as people may or may not be aware, I sent an email out this afternoon. The event has been cancelled. For those people that had bought tickets, those people that had bought tickets online, you will be getting an automatic refund from the Sun Theatre. And I believe 1 or 2 tickets were bought over the counter. We're going to have to try and get a hold of them. Hopefully they're either watching this or on our website or get our email newsletter or something like that. And so they'll be able to make contact with the Sun and the Sun Theatre through the email by phone or whatever. So hopefully that'll all take place. There are some mugs that we did have available for purchase and collection at the cinema on the day. They don't actually exist at the moment. The idea was we'd take those orders until the end of this month, place the order, and then have them all at the theatre. So obviously that's not now happening. So we're going to be contacting the people that have placed orders and working out some arrangement to either refund them or have them produced and have them collected. So if that's you, keep an eye out for email and make contact with us. Something further out in the future is this film called Searching for Skylab. Michael Abdul and I were at Space Fest in 2018. We actually met the producer of this production. At that stage, it was still in the final throes. It was sort of a almost complete production. He had a preview screening there. It's fantastic. We saw it. It's now been fully released, and we've got a penciled-in plan to have that film screened once again at the Sun Theatre in Yarraville here in Melbourne. We've sort of taken a stab in the dark to have that event run on the what's the date again? It's the 11th of July. So we're thinking 11th of July. These are the dates of the missions, the manned missions, and the actual launch of the lab itself. So, and then of course they gave it to Australia at the end of it, which was very generous of them. Here's a bit that they recovered. So we're talking about having a Melbourne screening on July the 11th, hopefully when the world is back on its stable axis and we can actually go out and be human beings again. So watch your email and Facebook connections, and we'll keep you updated on that. Now, one thing I didn't, I must have hidden it. One of the things I've suggested with the Apollo 13 postponement or cancellation is people may or may not be aware of the apolloinrealtime.org website. This guy, Ben Feist, I think his name is, he's done a mountain of work, and he's put together a live consolidation of all the multiple audio tracks in mission control, Capcom, onboard, backroom, etc., all combined in a sequence, a synchronized sequence with imagery and video. And you can actually watch in real time. So you can get on there, and if you want, you can start from T-1 minute and watch the whole and listen to the whole 7-day mission or what it was. Or you can actually go to a particular time and moment in space. And actually during the mission, between the dates of the mission itself, it will be live. So you click on there and go to live, and it'll take you to what was happening at 5 minutes to 8 on today's date. So it's pretty amazing. I did have a link in there. I must have hidden the slide, so I'll put that back up here in a second. So our meetings for the group, they do happen on the 4th Monday of the month, and that pans out to these particular dates. I think you can see them on screen. So at this stage, as I say, we've just been informed by the venue that we have our physical meetings in, which is the Golden Gate Hotel, that they will not be having anything happening for obviously March, April or May events. So it's either going to be what we're doing tonight or something similar, or nothing at all, unless we want to do something radically different. I'm not sure. So those are the dates. Once we get back to an even keel, that's the dates for future reference. Once again, the 14th of December is our penciled in date for our end of year event. So if we end up having a physical event, well, the next meeting will be the 27th. I'm suggesting we all dress up like this anyway.
We may have to. And
put your visors down, please, gentlemen and ladies, whoever's there, because obviously we don't want to breathe each other's air. All right, and once again, the Space Association is a volunteer-run organisation. We basically operate on subscriptions and some very random merchandise purchases. So if you're a member, thank you. If you're not a member, think about joining. If you're a lapsed member, maybe you can come back. And if you just go to space.asn.au, all the details are there. Tim's here tonight, but you can't give him any money at this stage. So I did have a little slide deck of news, and hopefully I'm not going to step on anyone's toes. So here's the Space Association news desk. That was me when I had hair. So I thought I'd just go through a few items that have cropped up in recent times. Obviously, coronavirus is touching everything and everyone. So NASA suspended work on the James Webb Space Telescope. And on March 20, Bridenstine said they completed assessment of the work across the agency, deciding which projects are essential enough to require them to go to NASA centres or work on them. So at this stage, a lot of the work's been suspended, and so to be decided. I mean, I think that thing was already well behind schedule anyway, so probably no one's really going to notice. Coronavirus is going to be affecting the SLS testing as well. Once again, delays on the SLS. Really, is that actually news? Probably not. But anyway, so all these facilities doing these stage 4 shutdowns, and so basically it's I think stage 4 is where they basically have people there to keep the thing on and keep security running. That's kind of about it. So So they're suspending production and testing of the SLS and Orion hardware during this time. Rocket Lab, they're saying their preparations are going to continue despite the coronavirus travel restrictions. Their next mission is coming up, and it involves three payloads for the National Reconnaissance Office. I believe, or they stated that I think the key people are already in New Zealand, so that would allow them to continue work on that. And there's a CubeSat from the University of New South Wales there, so. So the scheduled launch is no earlier than March 30. So watch that space there. Are these slides showing up all right, everyone?
No, sometimes they are a little bit pixelated.
Sometimes it shrinks. I've got view original size, and sometimes it shrinks down to a quarter of the size. Sometimes it's full.
Okay.
What I have found, Peter, if you actually put it in a window, a slightly smaller window, the resolution's a bit better, but you see your computer screen.
Oh, really? Oh, well, I'll just keep going like this, and we next time maybe we do this, I'll get the app running and see if that makes a difference.
I tell you what you should do is also run a speed test on your home just to check the speeds, just to see when I get on, I can tell you what speeds I'll be running on, and then we can compare whether there's a problem at home. Anyway.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry to digress.
Problems at home? Yeah, well, okay. So Virgin Orbit's space launch business is deemed as an essential service, which is kind of nice. So they're allowed to continue working on it. So hopefully that's going to be going soon. I think that, so the LA and Long Beach, they've issued a safer at home orders and closed non-essential businesses. But once again, Virgin Orbit is classed as essential. So they're still shooting for an April launch, but they're reassessing that based on all of the considerations around the pandemic. So, man, I wish I'd had $1 for every time someone or heard the word pandemic. So there was a report that came out recently, which basically in the 18th, but basically the global space industry stands to fare better than many other industries buffeted by the corona pandemic because of the demand for the services, online services and those types of things. So, that might be good for the global economy and also the Australian economy as they ramp up their space services, etc. So they're obviously saying they're no means immune to the broader economic downdraft, but they're being more and more, their services and products are being more and more looked at as being essential. European launch provider Arianespace has paused missions. Can everyone mute their microphones, please? We're getting there we go. And it sounds like there's more than four, maybe closer than 1.5 meters away from each other. Anyway, OneWeb launched the first large batch of broadband satellites in February, still plans to conduct next launch on 21st of March, which has already passed. So obviously that hasn't happened. And Guyana Space Centre, Baikonur Cosmodrome, that only confirmed for, okay, yeah, no worries. ULA Atlas 5 launch remains scheduled for the 26th. German rocket and satellite hardware builder OHB said March 18. It's not revising its schedule despite the outbreak. In-flight connectivity provider GoGo, which uses capacity on 34 satellites, avoided issuing financial guidance. So GoGo, yeah, they use that. That's used a lot on airlines for the internet connectivity. We talked about it, or Angelo talked about it at the public meeting at the last meeting, which seems like forever ago, but they are planning to have their first manned flight to the space station in May. So hopefully that won't be too much affected by what's going on, and well, we can never We can never guarantee that, but anyway, hopefully that's the case. And just a general bit of space news for Australia. Space startups seem to be ramping up with what they're doing. Once again, what the effects of these coronavirus things happens, who knows? But there's a lot of things happening, as people are probably aware, around the country. Southern Launch, Northern Launch, and other organisations, venture capital space at the University of South Australia's Innovation Collaboration Centre, saying that there's a lot of startups they're working with as well over there. Yes. To finish off my little section, whose dog is that? We lost our warden this in the last few days. He died at 88 years of age. He was born back in 1932, and of course he was a command module pilot on Apollo 15. He started off as graduating out of West Point, fighter pilot and test pilot, and then selected with NASA. So very sad. A few people here, I think Tony, you've probably met him, and I know a bunch of other people have. Yeah, he's a lovely guy. Didn't really get much of a chance to chat with him, but he seemed like a really great guy. So he was in the command module around the moon while Dave Scott and Jim Irwin were down on the surface. Once the guys came back up from the surface and they headed back towards the Earth, Warden suited up and went outside to do the first deep spacewalk to retrieve film canisters. And his quote on that was, "It's sort of a unique perspective. I did have a chance to stand up on the outside and look. I could see the moon and the Earth at the same time. If you're on Earth, you can't do that." He said it was quite a remarkable experience. So we lose another Apollo astronaut. Very sad. So here's the picture I think he used on his book, which is a wonderful book. And there's Al in his prime, talking about space. All right, that's it from me. I'm going to hand over, unless you want to have a chat about things, I want to hand